I don't know about you, but a lot of times I wonder if I'm making any progress at all. I wonder if I'm just spinning my wheels. And I think with social media and what's happening in the media today, it feels like the whole world is going to hell in a handbasket. And that may be some elements of truth, but is it all true? I don't think so. 30 years of working in the coaching and training business and working with CEOs, I can tell you that you're not alone either. Everybody feels a similar way, is that we're working below the line, living below the line, feeling like we're stuck, doing things we don't want to do, hanging out with people we don't want to hang out with. In today's episode of The Curious CEO, I want to walk you through a process that's going to get you unstuck. It's going to get you to the good stuff, which is above the line, the freedom, the place of energy, the place where you know, man, this is what I was put on the earth to do. You're going to be operating in your gifts and your strengths and living the life and running the business that you really, really want to have. And the way we're going to do that is I'm going to expose you to this process called the line, which is where you're going to win. And these are the routines and habits that are going to protect you. They're going to ensure that you're working on the most important things and doing things in the right way to achieve your goals. So we're going to dig into that today on The Curious CEO. Well, welcome back to another episode of The Curious CEO. Today is a little bit different. I don't have a guest today. What I want to do is share with you a philosophy and a process that I have run businesses with, consulted CEOs, mentored people with, and one that's very personal to me, not just in my business life, but in my personal life. And that process has come from experience of working with people. Initially, it was just kind of very organic. I didn't even know it was a process. It's just something I've paid attention to through the years of coaching, mentoring, and leading companies. So this process is called, it's an above the line process. And there's above the line, there's the line, and below the line. I'm going to dig into that here with you today and walk you through this process. And I also have a little bit of homework for you. I have some questions that I want you to think about. That when you leave, watch this podcast today that you're going to actually reflect on. And it's really, really good stuff to get into your head, to get into your heart and figure out where are you and where do you want to be. So where this really started forming for me was with a conversation I had with a guy who I knew for over 20 years. And I had watched his career grow. We'd become friends. We were kind of running parallel to each other in our careers and our lives. And I had a conversation out of the blue, just checking in. How are you doing? A friend of mine, Chuck. I said, how are things? And he said, things are good. The kids are good. Work is good. But I could tell it didn't sound good. He didn't sound great. He didn't sound himself. So during the conversation, I said, hey, Chuck, how are you really doing? He goes, I'm not doing great, to be honest with you. I'm struggling. I've had some stuff pop up in my personal life that has really challenged me professionally. It's impacted my business. It's impacted my life. It's impacted my kids. It's impacting me right now. And honestly, I feel like I got no one to talk to. And you're the first person to kind of dig in with me. I said, well, how can I help you? Is there anything you want to talk about? How can I serve you? And he said, would it be okay if I came down and met with you for a day? I said, sure. So I said, okay, we agreed on a date and see you then. Hung up the phone. About 15 minutes later, he calls me back and goes, would it be okay if I brought my wife and my executive team down with me for the day? Because I really feel like we got work to do. I said, sure, come on down. We met in my office then afterwards, and I could tell this group of people had deep relationships with each other. They had been through some battles together. They really enjoyed each other, but you could tell there was also a tension in the room and they weren't gelling. They weren't in flow. So I asked them, I said, how can I help you guys today? The answer to that question was really silence. They really didn't know. And I said, okay. I said, listen, can I ask you, what's not going well right now? Like, what's in your way? Where are you guys stuck? And I had a flip chart and a marker pen. And they started just telling me this and that. And we're not meeting and we can't keep up with the growth. And there was just a list of issues. So much so that I put them around my office. And it looked like I'd wallpapered my office in their problems. Well, I could look over and Chuck was sitting there and I could see him kind of looking at the walls and looking at me. And he was literally shrinking in his chair. And I think he was thinking, oh, God, why did I come down here? Buffini, I thought I was coming down here for you to help me. I feel worse. I think the team feels worse. Everybody in the room had their say. They got it all out. And I don't know about you, but a lot of times when you ask somebody, hey, what do you want? 9 times out of 10, they can't tell you. But they can tell you what they don't want in their life, what they don't want in their business, what they don't want in their routines. And then it's a simple process of like, okay, what's the opposite of that? So anyway, we got that out of the way. We had a list to work through. And I said, okay, which 4 or 5 of these things do we need to tackle today? And that took a little bit of time because there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of stuff going on, like in every business, like in your business and in your life. We focused on 2 or 3. The next thing I asked the team was, Chuck is the CEO and founder of your company. What's amazing about him? What are his superpowers? How is it that he's able to start this organization and build this great organization? What are those things that are special about him that he really needs to focus on, or you'd love to see him focus on? And I could see him, Chuck, kind of looking at me at the corner of his eyes, like, oh, how's this going to go? And next thing, they started making a list of, here's what he's great at. He's great at connecting with people. He has such charisma. He has such a heart for his community. He wants to see everybody who works for him win. And they wrote out lists and lists and lists and lists of things that he's fantastic about him. And I could see Chuck in the corner of my eye he just perked up. You could see he was just kind of getting built up. He was excited to hear this. He needed to hear this. So he had his list. And I said, okay, this is what's awesome about him. Now, what do you want him to stop doing? What do you want him to keep doing? And what do you want him to start doing? Again, here's the list. Here's the list. We want him to stop doing this, get involved in that. We want him out here. We want him there. His team started to literally put a list down of what his job description should be, where his superpower should be, and in a very gracious, generous, kind way, make a list of you don't need to be doing these things. You shouldn't be in these meetings. This is not your gift. That whole day went on about 8 hours. That team went from coming into my office, feeling defeated, feeling lost, not really together. And by the end of the day, they charged out the door. They were excited to be around each other. They were going for dinner that night. They had so much to talk about. It was such a polar opposite experience of how they came in and how they left. And it's simply because of a process of getting clear, getting out of the problems, getting out of the day-to-days, getting them out on the table, and then ultimately getting back to what is the vision that we are pursuing. This meeting happened about 6 years ago. 2 years ago, I met him at a conference. And I said, how are you doing, Chuck? And he goes, we're doing great. He goes, the day we met with you in our office really solidified us as a team. It gave us momentum. He goes, Dermot, we grew 700% in the next 2 years. Chuck ended up selling his company, doing extremely well from it. It was just great to be part of that process. He said, I thought asking for help was a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. For us as leaders, we're running our businesses, we're managing people every day. It can be a badge of honor that you carry that, hey, I've got all the answers, leave it with me, I'll get back to you. But ultimately, our bubble gets small, our problems consume us, and we don't have this outlet, or we forget to ask for help because we think we're supposed to be the helper. Like any other experience, I got a ton out of this. I got a ton out of this experience, and I got a ton out of hearing what his perspective was, which was asking for help is strength. And if you're running a business, if you've got a lot of people reporting to you, you're trying to accomplish great things every day, believe me, you're going to need a lot of help. So this process that I want to introduce you to, that unbeknownst to me, I actually walked Chuck through, is this process. I call it above the line, and below the line. Above the line, and below the line. This is, 30 years of being in the coaching, training, personal growth and development business, and running and developing one of the country's largest business coaching companies. This is where we find people come to us. This is where they come to our seminars. This is where they come to work with a coach, where they've been like, listen, I don't know what keeps getting in my way, but something keeps getting in my way and I need to get out of my way. So below the line, the definition of below the line is these are the things that prevent you from achieving your goals and playing to your strengths. That's where Chuck's team was. That's where he was. They were drowning in these places. They had great exponential growth, and then they got stuck. And then with opportunity and with growth comes problems. But these just aren't in business. They're in our personal life. We're surrounded by below the line stuff. Just check out the headlines. My mother used to say that a 9-day wonder. Something dramatic happens, and for 9 days, people wonder about it. I don't think it's 9 days anymore at all. I think it's 9 seconds. The next headline, the next headline, the next headline. And it's never good news, is it? In media, they say, if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead. They're looking for headlines. And the problem is, you see these headlines. Your customers see these headlines. Your family members, your kids see these headlines. And it can feel like, oh my gosh, we're going to hell in a handbasket. And it doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel great to have these things pushing you down. You feel like you're drowning below the line. You're in the weeds and you can't see. Stay there long enough. It's not great. You know, we all have our devices. You know, I look at my phone sometimes and I look at the amount of screen time. It's so easy to do. There's so many headlines, so many things coming at us each and every day. And we end up doom scrolling. And it doesn't lead anywhere good. You know, it leads to anxiety, it leads to despair, it leads to powerlessness. Next thing, the diet's gone. Next thing, the glass of wine turns into a bottle of wine. And as you guys know, the media and the news cycle is constantly going to feed whatever it is that you are focused on. But that can also work for good too. If you're going to those news channels, if you're going to those news sources, the doomsday brigade are waiting for you, and they're going to feed that with more negativity and more stuff that's going to keep you below the line. And eventually you're going to feel stuck. But I love this quote from Wayne Dwyer. He said, you're not stuck where you are unless you decide to be. It's a choice. It's a choice for all of us. And so what I'd like to share with you is some questions to think about. And this can be in your personal life. This can be in your business life. What steals your energy? Like, what are the things that you hate doing? Maybe it's in your job. Maybe, you know, we all have to do stuff we don't like doing. But what are the things that you have to do on a daily basis? You're like, I'm not good at this. I don't like these things. It's stealing my energy. The next question is, who are the below the line people in your life and business? You need to know who these people are. Some of these people you'll like. Some of these people you look forward to seeing. Some of these people are funny. When they leave, you're like, man, I just feel like that person stirred me up in the wrong direction. I feel like anytime I'm interact with that person, I feel like it's benefited me. I feel like it's taking me to a place below the line that I don't want to live. I don't want to talk about those things. I don't want to do those things. And then last but not least, what are the negative routines and habits that you need to eliminate in your business and your life? So I really want you to think about those questions because I think they're going to help you. When we have done our events, or a lot of times when I use this process, coaching CEOs, mentoring folks, it's typically this process I'm utilizing. And so once we get through the below the line, they're all excited. People get excited. They want to go straight above the line. They want to go and achieve their goals, and they want to do stuff that's meaningful and purposeful. And then maybe this has happened to you. You've gone to a seminar, got excited, and then 3-4 weeks later, you're like back doing the same stuff. New Year's resolutions. You know, we start off in January, and then Quitter's Friday happens 2 or 3 weeks later, where most of us give up on our New Year's goals and resolutions. And we're like, you know what? I'll pick that up again next year. And the reason is because we try to go from here to it's all new and we're going to go here. And what happens is we don't even get to here because we don't have the routines and habits in place in order to work towards our goals. And this is the most important part I want to talk to you about, which is the line. So what is the line? It's a baseline. It's a framework for operations and activities and routines that are the foundation to achieving your goals. We also have to run our lives. Right? Before we get to work, before we set foot out the door, we've got to just do our baseline stuff. So at the line, we have our home life. We've got to do the bills. We've got to do the laundry. We've got to do our chores. We've got to get the kids to school. We've got to make lunches, all that sort of stuff. Just at the line. That's the healthy. That's the good stuff. That's doing our jobs. Well, the same way within our business. But we're always under pressure. And a lot of times, circumstances happen in life that are just constantly trying to pull us down. You know, a few years ago, I actually went to Ireland. I rented a house from Dublin. Went back to see my folks. Went to see my family. Brought my lovely new lady with me, Mary. We went and saw my parents, and I showed her where I played soccer and where we went to school and all that great stuff. And we had a great tour around the place. And the reason we took this trip and we took the amount of time that we did and to go and live it up was because we had a below the line diagnosis. Mary had been diagnosed with breast cancer. It was devastating. And it was a lot of emotion. It was a very difficult season. But we decided that how we're going to deal with a below the line diagnosis, that we didn't start this. It was just something like many of you have to deal with that came out of left field. But the way we decided to deal with this is we're going to go and have above the line experiences. We went to Ireland. We had a ball. We had a great time. And then what we did at the line was, all right, Mary, let's go to work. Let's go and get the medicines you need. Let's go and get the help you need. She went to work and she went after it. And it was, thank God, it all worked out great. She is, after 2 years and 6 surgeries, she's kicking butt and taking names, and she's healthy and she's doing fantastic. So much so that we got married in August. Now I've gone from having 2 kids to 5 kids. So I've doubled my database. It's incredible. That's how we handled a below the line diagnosis. And thankfully, we're maintaining those routines. We're pursuing those health habits on a daily basis. But also what came out of this was that I kind of got my own butt kicked. And like many of you in leadership, or if you're a helper, if you're a person who's, I love to serve people, a lot of times we will put all our focus and energy on that, whether it's a company, whether it's kids, whether it's friends, whether it's who knows. And what happens is we lose ourselves in the process. So after Mary got through this, she turned to me and said, listen, I'm good. I appreciate it, but I'm good. But I don't think you are. And unbeknownst to me, I had kind of lost all my routines. I'd lost my routines. I'd lost my focus. I'd lost my habits that I had for myself. And she said, look, you need to start taking care of you. I'm good. So what does that look like for me? It starts spiritually. If I'm not taking care of my spiritual health, if I'm not taking care of my physical health, I'm in trouble. Before you even get to work, before you get to do your job, I need to have those in place. They were gone. They had disappeared. I had to go back to physical therapy. I'd had 3 back surgeries and 2 knee replaced, all sorts of stuff. But I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do. So I went to physical therapy. I found this thing called Pilates. That was just very, very challenging to my ego, to be in a room full of elderly women who were able to do all the exercises that I couldn't. But I persisted and I kept going. But also the vacations. The vacations had gone off the calendar. We weren't planning for any, and understandably, we had other fish to fry. But we weren't taking the breaks that we needed to. So what did I do? I got back after it. I started creating my routines. I started creating my habits again. And got my knee replaced in August, a bum knee, got that taken care of. That took some time. But here's what I've learned. And this is a quote that I'm quoting myself here, because I said it on a podcast, and one of our clients had said to me, Dermot, say that again. And I go, what? The thing about your circumstances. And I went, oh, okay. And it's this little quote that I try and keep in front of myself. But this is a personal reminder for me, but I hope it helps you too. I know when my circumstances are stronger than my routines, I'm in trouble. But when my routines are stronger than my circumstances, I win, and I win every time. So practically, what does this look like? If you show me your checkbook and if you show me your calendar, I can tell you what you value in your life. Where you spend your time and where you spend your money tells me a lot. It also tells me a lot about myself. And so what do? We have to take those things that are optimal, those things that we need to do on the line to ensure that we're operating in our health and our businesses are healthy and that we're leading well. We need to make sure that our calendar reflects those things that are most important to us, so that when the fires break out, nope, I'm going to my calendar. So that when somebody comes into your office and says, have you got a second? I need you now. I've got an emergency. You can make a decision. You can find out if that is an emergency that is jeopardizing a goal or an outcome that you're trying to achieve, or is it just somebody whose hair is on fire and they just want to get in front of you? Your calendar and the line is going to protect you from being dragged out of focus, dragged below the line to those places where you just can't win from. So this is what my calendar looks like. And I have the meetings that I need to have, the most important meetings, the people who I need to, the above the line people and the line people that I have in my life to keep me in routine, to keep me focused, to make sure that I have accountability. As the boss, you're the one who needs accountability more than anybody. So your calendar is essential. Now you'll see in my calendar here, I've got the physical therapy built in. I have the time built in. And this is the ideal calendar. Does it always work this way? No. Do fires break out? Yes. Do we deal with them? But this is where my intention is most days, is to spend my time and energy and effort here. You'll see there's gaps. There's space. Why is there space? Because I use it to think. I use it to observe. I use it to learn. But I also leave those gaps because you know what? Realistically, stuff is going to break out. So instead of being back to back to back to back all day and exhausted at the end of the day, I have the most important things in my calendar and then space for the fires to break out. Here's an exercise for you to do at the line. What are your baseline activities and the routines that will help you to achieve your goals? What are they? Write them down. Make a list of them. These are the things I know I need to do in order to win. Next question. Who can support you at the line? Remember Chuck said, I thought asking for help was a sign of weakness. It's not. It's a sign of strength. There's lots of people in your life who they'll be only too happy to help you. I'm surrounded by them. And it's annoying at times because they tell me to do the things that I told them that I want to do, that my life doesn't actually, or my calendar reflect the fact that I have any intention of doing them. So who are the people who can support you at the line? And then here's the last thing. What guardrails can you put in place to ensure that you don't fall below the line? Now, are you going to fall below the line? Yes, you are. We're humans. It's going to happen. But what's going to happen over time is you're just not going to go as far below the line. Right now, you might spend a couple of days below the line. You might spend a couple of hours below the line. But once you've got this philosophy and these things established, you'll start to go, hey, man, I'm off course. I've drifted off course. I need to get back. Well, where do I need to get back to? Take out the calendar. Talk to your team. Hey, what are the things we're supposed to be doing again this week? What does a win look like this week? And this is where you're going to win. You cannot win. You will not win. You will not achieve your goals. You will not grow without this foundation of the habits and routines that you need to have in place. So as you're looking at these questions, when it comes to the line exercise, what are your baseline activities and routines that will help you to achieve your goals? Who can support you at the line? And what are the guardrails you can put in place? This is where you're planning. This is where you're putting in the calendar. This is where you also are going to get help. This is why we have had a coaching company. It's what the coaches do. They remind you. But you can also share them with your wife, your husband, your kids. That just says, here's my intention for the week. Don't be afraid to ask me. Don't be afraid to ask me if I've done these things or put the things in your way. I'm supposed to take these tablets that help with my recovery and my knee and my eyes and vitamins. And I'm like, I keep forgetting to take them. So my wife put them beside the coffee maker. So every morning they're there. That's a simple way of you actually executing on your goals and in your routines. Don't be afraid to share your goals. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And then you surround yourself. It'll annoy you. You'll be like, damn it. I wish I'd never have opened my mouth about this. But I promise you, a little thing like that every day. Somebody going, did you do that? Did you do that? That's what you want. So as you go above the line and you start thinking about your strengths it's important for you to list them. It's important for you to write them down. Make a list of them. Just take 30 minutes, grab a cup of coffee, sit outside, go somewhere quiet. Just start writing out, what am I really good at? What am I really gifted at? You will not lie to yourself. Now, some of you might have a hard time with this too. So here's a secondary piece you can do. You can sit down with your friend. You can sit down with your significant other. You can sit down with your kids. You can sit down with coworkers and just say, hey, I'm just curious. Just like Chuck had his team affirm him in those things he was excellent at. What do you think I'm really good at? What gifts and strengths do you see that I have that you would love to see me pursue or grow in? Invite people into that conversation. Also, make a list during the week. You'll know those things that steal your energy, those things you love to do, those things you don't like to do. Make a list of them. Keep a notepad close by, wherever you take notes. When it's happening, you're like, I hate doing that. I loathe it. And on the other side, I like it. So you either like it or you loathe it. And what you're doing is you're creating a list, 2 lists, in fact. One, we're going to magnify. One, you're going to spend most of your time on. Those things you like, those things you give you energy, those things you're good at. And then these are the red flags you have to come up with a plan for. What I've done with my team is like literally make a list of things that I go, I really don't like doing this. And here's the funny thing. Anytime I've come to my team and said, you know what? I'm not good at these things and I don't like doing them. They're like, no crap, Sherlock. You're not good at them. In fact, let's give them to somebody who loves doing it, is great at doing it, and you get back to doing those things that your God-given talent and design is. So anyway, just a little tips there and exercise that you can do. But I saw this little video and it kind of reminded me of the process of getting from below the line to above the line. It's of this fish, and this fish has washed up on the beach, but it's washed up in a big pool, in a pool of water that's big enough for it to swim around, and it looks warm, it looks nice. And that fish is the big fish in a small pond. But I think this fish also knows, you know what, this is not where I belong. I'm vulnerable to some birds in the sky who might need a nice lunch and a buffet, and I'm it. It also knows that, hey, maybe this water might evaporate. Maybe this good market, these good times, maybe this season won't last. Maybe it'll dry up. But ultimately, why is this fish moving? Because it's built for bigger things. It's built to swim in a deeper ocean. This is what it looks like for us when we move our clients, and when I've moved my clients from where they are and where they're comfortable to where they really need to belong. It takes a lot of effort. It takes courage. Okay, that fish, for a while, it's in between two places. It's in between where it was and where it was comfortable and where it was nice and warm, and it was on the beach, and it's on its side. It's going like its life depends on it, because it does. But getting up that momentum, and then it's into the deeper water, and now it's into freedom, and now it's into this massive ocean of opportunity. Same thing for us. So we've covered below the line, the place where we get trapped, we get stuck, the things that stop us for achieving our potential. We know the line is the place where you're going to win from. These are the routines and habits that are going to help you get to where this next season, which is above the line. So what is above the line? Above the line is where you optimize your business, your life, your gifts, and your strengths. This is where you're going to win. This is the place where you're like, oh my gosh, this is the promised land. You've all come across it. You've come across it when you're doing things that you know you're uniquely gifted at. You're like, it doesn't feel like working at all. It's that place you go on vacation. It's that memory that you have with your family. That's a tradition that you're like, man, we haven't done that in a while, but it just feels awesome when we live in this place. And the same way with your business. When we're serving our customers and we're doing a great job, we're above the line, man. That's what we want. We want to have this feeling of working in our strength, and that's where above the line is. So there's some questions I'd challenge you to sit down and work through. What are your above the line goals and outcomes? For many people, those goals and those outcomes have been on a list for a very long time. I know I have them. Every time I go to write a list of goals, I'm like, man, I've been writing that goal for 10 years and I've probably snipped away at it and I've probably had some success in it. But a lot of times it's like, man, I probably need, if I'm going to achieve that goal, I'm probably going to have to get some help with it. But what are the above the line goals and outcomes that are yours? Not somebody else's, but those things that you're like, man, if I achieved those this year, this month, this week, I would be so excited by. The next thing is, what are your leadership gifts and strengths? Like, what are you really good at? What's your superpower? A lot of people don't know it. They kind of know it instinctively. They bump into it. But I really think there's power in writing it down. Like, I'm great at this. I'm great at creating movement. I'm great at getting the team together and building that team and bringing them together to achieve those goals. I'm good at sitting with people and going, where are you getting stuck? How can I help you? Whatever it might be, you need to own those things. And now you need to build your job description around that. And then last but not least, who are your above the line people? You got your below the line people. You know what they're going to do. You know your line people. These are the people that are going to work with you on a daily basis to make sure, did you do this? Did you do that? Your calendar, did you check that off? Did you get your to-do list done? But your above the line people are going to challenge you. Your above the line people are the people who know you well enough to go, you know you're capable of so much more. When I see you do these things, I'm like, that's you in your sweet spot. I want to see you do more of that. They will challenge you. They'll also challenge you in a way that will make you realize maybe you're off course. But who are your above the line people? I promise you, you're surrounded by people who want to see you win. And it's not just mom and dad. There's people in your communities. There's people in your businesses. There's people from your past working lives or people maybe you played soccer with, people you're part of a team at growing up in school or whatever it might be. Think about who those people are. They're people who you feel better when you're around them and they know you and you can trust them. I have them. These are my folks. Mason Ludlow, he used to be the general manager of our company. Mason had tremendous experience, had run a couple of thousand retail units in the US, then came to work with us at our company. I was a younger executive, took me under his wing. I learned so much from that man. Pete Leddy has a PhD in behavioral organization, and he has scaled companies from Pepsi-Cola to Dell Computers, has a great mind. But he's a guy who took me aside and said, you need to think, how do you grow this business without you? How do you grow this business through people and systems and processes? And also, these guys are just good fun to hang out with. Mike Ryan is a guy who I met working. He was an executive at a major real estate company. We hit it off. We did business together. We're friends ever since, but he's somebody I trust and challenges me. My own brother, Brian, some of you may have heard of him. He's my brother. He's a mentor. We've worked together. We worked together for 26 years, but we help each other to get above the line and go, well, is this really matter? Is this what we're going to do? Bijan Matthews, he's a guy who's helped me with my physical ailments. There's a doctor, physical therapy. He gets me above the line, gets me to do 4 or 5 more press-ups than I ever thought I could do. And then last but not least, Lance All, who I'm actually going to do a show with here recently. And he's a guy who's helped me through difficult circumstances, whether it's divorce, whether it's just my own limitations or preparing for the next season of growth. We're going to do a whole show and a Q&A around how do you work from below the line to get above the line. I'm really excited for you to dig into that. All I can say to you is this, is that this life is waiting for you. These things they're so close. They might feel like they're miles away, but they're right there. If you want to live above the line, if you want to lead above the line, if you want to get your family above the line, your finances above the line, your health above the line, it's going to require a little bit of time to sit down and figure out, what do you want? What do you want? When do you want it? And then just start where you are. Start where you are. You might be doing great in your business, but you might not be doing great in your health. That's okay. We're looking for just little baby steps of improvement every day that are built into your calendar, that you show up every day and go, hey, I'm going to do that for 15 minutes. I have worked with clients where literally they've started drinking a glass of water a day. A glass of water a day. And it sounds bizarre, but that one thing clicked the habit of, oh, I'm doing something good for myself. Oh, I accomplished a goal. Guess what it promotes? It promotes doing the next right thing, pursuing the next goal. And over time, not in a day, not in a week, but through the year, those habits compounding. And next thing you find yourself, man, I'm living above the line. I'm working above the line. I'm leading above the line. And oh my gosh, look who's beside me and who's on the journey with me. The exercise I'd give you here is to sit down and work through these questions. What do you want? What's below the line? What gets in your way? Who gets in your way? Who do you need to move aside and not spend as much time with? Or what activities do you need? That's not good for me and I don't need to be there. You need to make a list of that. The line is where you're going to win. You're going to tell your money where to go and you're going to tell your time where to go. And when you evaluate your current calendar, it'll be pretty revealing, but don't worry if it's kind of like doesn't match up with anything you want in your life. You get the chance to start again. New Year's resolutions can start every day if you want them to. They don't have to be January 1st. And that's where the above the line goals come in. It's like, what do I want? I can start today. I'm not done. Because we can beat ourselves up too. Oh, I didn't get the workout in again. Oh, I didn't do what I said I was going to do. Oh, here I go again. I've eaten crappy food. Whatever it might be. All good. Understandable. It's not going to help you. Your only job is to do the next right thing in the direction of what you want to go. Last but not least, Jim Rohn was someone who we had speak at our events, and he's a great mentor, just a great business philosopher and thinker. But he said this, and this quote's always stuck with me, but it says, investing in yourself is the best investment you can make because it will not only improve your life, it will improve the lives of those around you. I can tell you that quote, I have experienced it. It is true. When I've raised the bar, when I've invested in myself, when I've taken the time to invest in me, to share my goals with other people, to ask for that help, it has changed my life and brought me to a new level. Well, I wanted to share that with you today. That's a very personal process that I don't perfect, but I work on every day. It's the process that I work with when I consult with a CEO. Where are you? Where do you want to be? What's in place? Where are you winning? Where are you losing? It's a powerful little process. You can do it. This show is all about learning from people who understand this process, who haven't done it perfectly, but have done great things in their business, great things in their life, have great experience and wisdom that's to benefit you. Well, one thing I really haven't done a good job of is asking for your help. But I would ask you to like and subscribe and share and do all those things that people ask you to do. We want our audience to grow. We want to reach more people. We want to help them live and lead above the line. And as you guys know, that doesn't hurt us with getting some great guests on board too. So if you could take a moment, please share, please subscribe, and thank you for all your support. Really appreciate it. And don't forget to drop some comments in there because we really want to hear from you because we want to help you in your life and in your business. That's our episode of The Curious CEO today. I hope it's been helpful for you. We'll be back next month with another great show. Until then, stay curious, my friends.